No big surprise there, huh? So I have been working from this book of Force for Good by the Dalai Lama, and today our topic is about offer support. And I have a little story that I wanted to share with you, and I don't know where it came from. It was just floating around in my computer someplace, so I can't attribute it to anybody in particular. A man was coming out of the supermarket, and as he approached his car, a person that some may have thought of as being homeless or a bum came and stood next to him. And they were quiet for a moment. And finally, the homeless person said, "Nice car." And they stood for a moment more. And the man who was coming out of the supermarket felt directed to say, do you need some help? Do you need some help? And the homeless man stood for a bit and said, "Don't we all?" And so this fellow, I'm going to quote him now, said, "It was a true discovery for me. I needed help. Although I had money and a place to sleep, I recognized that I needed help too. Then I opened my wallet and gave him enough money to get a meal and some shelter for the day. Suddenly, I understood that no matter how much money, achievement, luxuries we have, we all need help. And on the other hand, no matter how poor, how many material goods we do not have, you can still help others. You still might be able to give. Even if it's just a nice word, you can give, and it can be priceless to the other person." Maybe the man was just a homeless stranger, but to me he was more than that. Maybe he was sent by the highest loving power personally to me to open my eyes and to show me that there is one thing among all other values and achievements which is very important and irreplaceable for each and every person. Actually, it is the true gift to all, and it is called giving. So, quoting from the Dalai Lama, there's a Tibetan phrase that means, and I could say that Tibetan phrase, but I would just butcher it, and we're all safer just to let it go and know that there is a Tibetan phrase that means this: being specifically concerned for the underprivileged, defending the defenseless, helping those who are in poverty, disabled, diseased, or otherwise need care. He continues, "Mentally, sometimes rich people just look down at people in need and maybe give them something. But there's no genuine respect. These are the same human beings with the same abilities. We all have the same potential, but not the same opportunities. We are social animals, and even animals sometimes practice generosity. They may share their food and care for each other, even by just simply licking. So if you're happy and have plenty of food, but your neighbor is having difficulties, it's completely natural to be generous. Serving humanity, particularly poor people, is the best way to serve God. We don't want poor children or the poor to always think of themselves as recipients of philanthropy, We want to teach them philanthropy as well. We can all give. We can all be of service, and we can all benefit. So the topic is offer support, and I have created an acrostic using the word support. The first letter of each statement adds up to support. So S is for to see a need. When we live in attention and live in awareness and in consciousness, we are able then to see and recognize a need. And U stands for unconditional love. When we love unconditionally, we make no negative judgments. We are able to see those that we may perceive as in need, to see them unconditionally, without negative judgment, knowing that each one of us are God's in manifestation. We are the living manifestation of God. And so when we see people and judge them negatively, we actually are judging God, the divine, the Holy Spirit, whatever language you choose to use. P is standing for pray for guidance. We cannot make assumptions about what other people may need or may find beneficial. Praying for guidance. I had this distressing occasion. I had a client when I was a practitioner who came to me, and she told me the story of being in the hospital, and her lungs were compromised with some odd disease. And as she was in the hospital, a light came to her, and she knew that she was near death. And from my perspective, I said to her, oh, we can pray, and you can always be healed. God can always be there for you, and we can always heal through prayer anything that we need, because God is. And she said to me, oh, you misunderstood. She said, I wanted to die. So praying for guidance, had I not spewed out this denial of her death, I would have been able to be with her in a deeper, richer, more profound way, rather than putting my belief system that the death was the worst possible thing that could have happened. I could have been with her in a more present, loving way. So, before espousing what I believe to be necessary and what I believe to be helpful, I need to hold it in prayer so that I can be present in a way that's beneficial. So the other P, the next P for support, is provide what is missing. Provide what is missing. And that goes in hand with praying for guidance, because what is missing is not necessarily money. It's not necessarily food. What is missing, perhaps, is kindness, love, understanding, companionship, respect. So as I move forward in supporting people, I need to keep in mind that what I believe is necessary is not necessarily what they need. O is for ongoing care. If I am to be a beneficial presence, if I am to be one who provides what's missing, it is a commitment. It's not necessarily a one shot, here, take some money kind of situation. It is a commitment. If I provide care, if I give and support people, that may be a long-term commitment. That may be standing with them for an extended period of time. I can't just hit and run. I have to give myself, and giving myself may involve an extended period of time. It may involve a long-term commitment. So, R is for right action. And going back to the whole idea of providing what is missing, taking the right action, being present, using your skills and your tools and your abilities to provide what's missing, to be a beneficial presence, to give what's necessary to give, to love, to support, to respect, to honor, to acknowledge that every person who needs help is God. And so to take right action means to provide what's missing, to give the gift of your time and your talents and your love and your care. And finally, T stands for take no credit. Take no credit. Because it is not you that is performing this service. It is not you that's doing the action. It's not you that's giving. It is God using you, moving through you, giving you the ideas and the tools and the skills. It is God. Because you are God made manifest. We are all one of the one. And we cannot accept responsibility from an egoistic point of view. It's not you. It is God. So there's another story I wanted to share. A fellow named Brian Andrews. He was driving in the country, and he ran across a woman parked alongside the road who was stuck. And it was, getting toward dark, and this woman was driving a Mercedes, and he had an old Pontiac truck. So he pulled off to help her, and he could tell that she was a little nervous. And he said, "Hello, ma'am, my name is Brian Andrews." And he said, "May I help you?" And she was sort of frightened, but she didn't have too many other options or opportunities. And it turned out that her tire was flat. So he changed her tire. And when he was through, she said to him, "May I pay you?" And he said, oh no. He said, the next time you see somebody in need, you pass it on. You don't need to pay me. Just the next time you see someone in need, pass it on. So the woman in her Mercedes drove on down the road, and it was getting dark, and she was hungry, and so she stopped at a small cafe to eat. And the waitress in the cafe was so sweet and so gentle. And very, very, very pregnant. So the woman had a meal, and the waitress was so sweet and supportive, and they chit-chatted a little bit. So the woman only had a $100 bill, so she gave the waitress a $100 bill, and when the waitress went to get change and came back with the change, the woman had disappeared. She had left a note. And the note said, okay, I'm gonna get tissue.
I'm gonna get tissue out pretty soon.
And the note said, it had another $400 with it. So in essence, she was giving this young waitress close to $500 because she could tell that she was tired, she was pregnant, her clothes were they were clean, but a little old. And the note said, you don't need to thank me. If you see someone in need down the road, pass it on. So she had left $500. The pregnant woman was delighted. She was anxious to get home and tell her husband, but it was late when she got home and he was in bed. And so, in the quiet of the moment, she curled up next to him and she said, everything's going to be okay, Brian Andrews. We're fine, Brian Andrews. So things don't always turn around as quickly. Brian Andrews was the man, I remind you, who changed the old woman's tire. And so by giving, he received. And I'm absolutely sure that down the road, that woman is also going to receive. So in the Dalai Lama's wisdom of reminding us to offer support, reminding us to see a need, to offer unconditional love, to pray for guidance, and to provide what's missing, and to offer ongoing care, to make a commitment, if necessary, to take right action and take no credit. Because we are all one. We are all God. And I love each representation of God here. I love you all. Namaste. So I would invite the practitioners to stand and hold the conscious with me. As we just hold this lovely gathering of God in prayer, reminding you that I speak in first person, but let my words be your words. As I acknowledge that there is only one. That's all there is. One power, one presence, one divine essence that lives and moves and has its being in all things. There cannot be God and something else. There's no division and there's no separation. I know that I am it. I am the expression of the one. And no matter what illusion that I may have about separation, about the other, no matter what fear, judgment, concern, I know that all that is for my benefit and my support, and for supporting me. I permit myself to be totally at peace, to trust the wisdom of that is my good. I know that in the divine, in God, in the essence of all things, there is no fear. There is nothing that is harsh or harmful. So I stand in trust and in faith, knowing that there are no accidents, knowing that all is well, no matter how I imagine it otherwise, knowing that everything that occurs for me, to me, is for my benefit, and there is a good that underlies it all. There is a gift underneath it all. And I celebrate that. I trust it. And I claim it for each one of us. As I stand back with anticipation and expectation, seeing the miracle that is yet to be, and seeing the way that the universe always surprises me with good. I claim that for myself. I claim it for each one of us. And I celebrate it. And I invite you to celebrate it with me by declaring it done and by saying with me, and so it is. And amen.